Hey, hi friends, welcome to BSCIT MSCIT question and answer series. Myself Guru, and today we are going to see the topic from BSCIT question paper, that is how does an array list can differ from an array of array class. So today we are going to see the difference between array list and array in C Sharp. So if you have any queries or any doubts regarding this session, feel free to mail me on gurumatrix2004@gmail.com. So let's begin our session now. Before we get started, let's understand each topic individually. Means let's understand array of array class, then array of array list. So let's understand arrays first. Arrays in C Sharp. Arrays. Arrays are strongly typed. What do you mean by strongly typed? Let me just explain you. Let's say I have declared an array here. See, I have declared an string array of length 2, means my array length size is 2, and I have declared an array with my string data type. Can you see here? So when I declare an array with the string data type, I cannot input the values like like for string array I had inputted the value abc comma pqr. Those are my string values. I cannot input 1 comma 2 inside my array. Let's say I cannot input like this, 1 comma 2. This is wrong. Why? This will give an error. Why? Because arrays are strongly typed. So I need to declare the values of same data type. If it is a string data type, then I need to enter only the string values. Then only it will accept the array, then only it is going to accept the values. Otherwise it will throw an error, exceptional error. So that's why arrays are of strongly type, and they are of fixed length size also. As you see here, I had declared an array of fixed length size 2, so I can input only the two values here. I cannot input 3 values or 4 values or 5 values or any values, randomly. I cannot input any number of values. They are of fixed length size. Okay, and one more point, these arrays can be called by using the indexes. So what do you mean by indexes? Means I can call this array without using for each loop. Yes, normally we use for loop or for each loop, to call the to call an array collection, basically. But here, we can call these types of arrays by using indexes also. So without using an for or for each loop, we can call this array by using indexes. Let me show you how. If I say console.writeLine 0, then it will print a. It will print a. If I say, okay, one more point, I just missed it. Arrays starts with the 0 indexes normally. Here you can see the two values, but it normally starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. The indexes starts with 0 from 0. So whatever the first value is there in an array box, we need to say that it is of index 0 and this is 1, and both will become of size 2, because we have the two values. That's why the array size will become 2. So now here it will print as b. So again, let me just repeat again. So arrays are of strongly type. Okay, they are of fixed length size. Okay, we cannot input any other data type in array value other than the declared data type for an array. Means if the array is been declared with the string data type, then we need to enter only the string value. If an array is declared with the integer data type, then we need to declare integer values only, means we need to input only the integer value. That's why they are of strongly type. And one more point, we can call an array without for or for each loop, or without looping we can call an array, these types of arrays. Why? Because they are of fixed length size, and one more point, they can be called by using the indexes because they are of strongly type also. So there is no need of convert to type, so like that and so on. So this is all about the arrays. So now that you have understood arrays in C sharp, now let's try to understand array list. So let me just say array list. Okay, my friends. So array list. Whenever we want to use an array list in our code, in our C sharp code, then we need to declare a namespace called system dot collections. That is using system dot collection, because array list is a collection base. Yes, they are implemented from system dot collections. So whenever we want to use array list, then we need to use using system dot collection namespace, because they are implemented from the collection base. So one more point, that array lists are not strongly type. Yes, array lists are not strongly typed, so it means it can take any data type values. For it can take string values, it can take integer values, it can take double, it can take floating values, it can take any values. So now let me just show you syntax of an array list, how to declare an array list in C sharp. So it's pretty simple. We need to declare a keyword array list followed by object name of array list. Let's say obj arr equal to new. The process is same way as we are declaring the class object. So array list is to be declared in the same manner only. So array list, the keyword, the class, followed by object name, followed by new keyword, because of new object creation, then array list. So as you can see here, array list is not been declared with any specific data type. So that's why they are not strongly typed. Now I can enter any data type value in this. How to add values inside the array list? Let me just show you. Obj, we need to use object, then followed by dot operator, then automatically the add method will prompt. So we need to choose add method, and we can enter abc, a string value, or we can say integer value 1, or I can say a floating value 0.00 or 001. So on, so as you can see, arrays are of not strongly type. So it means we can add any data type values. And one more point, array lists are of not fixed size, so they can change their size dynamically depending upon the input values. So they are of not fixed length size, so we can enter any values here. Yes, so means we can add any number of values inside the array list, because there is no fixed length size. And one more point, we need to use for loop or for each loop to retrieve the values of an array list. The best thing to use an for each loop. So we need to use for each loop whenever we want to retrieve the values of an array list. So this is all about the array list. So whenever we want to implement an array list in our C# code, then we need to use system.console.namespace. And one more point, that whenever we want to retrieve the values in the array list collection, then we need to use for each loop. So because the for each loop helps to retrieve the values from inside the object collection, array list collection, list generic collections. So now we will see the real-time examples of array and array list. So let's see a real-time example. To see the real-time example, I am going to use my Visual Studio 2010 and I am going to demonstrate the examples in my console application. So let's go to our Visual Studio 2010. Let me just open up my Visual Studio 2010. So it has been opening. So now I am going to create my console application project where I am going to demonstrate array and array list. So to create an console application, I will say a file. From top menu of Visual Studio 2010, I will say new, I will say project. A window is going to prompt now. Yes, as you see on the right hand side, see my type is Visual C Sharp, means my language is Visual C Sharp and my .NET framework is 4. So I'm going to select my console application. Let me give a nice name, demo on array, and I have selected my path where I want to save the location, and finally I will say okay. Okay, I need to give a nice name, new name now, because it is already been exist. So I will say new arrays. So I will say okay. Now Visual Studio 2010 is creating a project, console application project. So as you can see friends, the project has been created successfully with some default namespaces and with a class program with static void main. Now let's see the implementation of an array first. So to implement an array, I am going to declare an array here first. So let me just declare a simple string array, string followed by square braces, country names is equal to new string of length 4 with values, country names India followed by USA, I will say UK, I will say New Zealand, NZ. Now as you see here, arrays are of strongly type because it has been declared with the string data type. Okay, so that's why we have entered only the string values here. So let's say if I enter some other input, let's say if I input some integer values, just see my Visual Studio is showing an error that it cannot implicitly convert type into string, so it needs only the string values. So I can enter only the string values. Now we can retrieve these values by using the index method or by using the for each method. So let me just show you my index method. As I already told you that index is always starts with the 0, so we need to count from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 like and so on. So let me just show you console.writeLine, console.writeLine print country name, that is country. We need to use array name followed by square brace and followed by index, let's say 0, and save. See, the country name India is been declared successfully. Why? Because my first object, my first value inside the array is India. If I say 3, then it is going to print New Zealand. So this is how we can use indexes, index method to display the array values, or we can use for each method also. For each, first we need to declare a data type string, let's say string cn, country name in country names, console dot write line print country name cn. So as you can see, the country name is printed here: India, USA, UK, New Zealand. So this is how to use the arrays in our code, you know. So you can either retrieve the values by using the index method or by using the for each loop. So this is all about the arrays. Now let's see array list. So let's declare an array list. As you see here, I have declared as using system.collection namespace, because I want to implement an array list here. So random values, my array list name, so equal to new array list. Now by using the object, I'm going to add some different data type values. I will say India. Let me just copy this. I will say 9. I will say 9 here, and I will say 0.009. Here I will say New Zealand NZ. Now in order to retrieve the values of an array list, array list collection, we will use for each loop. So let's use for each now. For each object random in random values, console dot write line print Okay my friends, let me just explain you why I have used the object here. Because I have used the object here because my array list collection is of different data types. It is not been specified with the single data type, means the values inside the array list are of not string data type, they are not of integer data type, they are not of floating data type, they are of mixed mode data types. So I have used the my data type as object, because the object can be anything. It can take a string data type values, it can take integer data type values, it can take floating data type values. So that's why I have used a data type object here. Okay, so let me just print the values now. See, my array list has been printed below, that is India 9 0.009 and New Zealand. If suppose I have used a string data type here, then see, it has thrown me an error here because it cannot print the value after India, because after India the value is integer data type. So that's why it cannot print, that's why it has thrown me an error. That's why it's thrown me an error. So that's why I have used a common data type, that is object. So as you can see now, array list are of not strongly type. Okay, so it means we can use any data type values inside the array list. Okay, and it is compulsory to use for each loop in order to retrieve the values of an array list. So because it cannot be called by using the indexes. So so this is all about the array list. And one more point I just missed out: whenever we want to implement an array list in our C# code, we need to use system.collection namespace. So this is all about the arrays and array list. Now if we talk about the differentiation, then let's say arrays are of strongly type and array list are of not strongly type. Arrays can take only specified data type values, only single data type values, and whereas array list can take any data type values. It might be integer data type value, it can be a string data type value, it can take any data type values. And arrays can be called by using the indexes, whereas array list cannot be called by using the indexes. Arrays are of fixed length size, whereas array list are of dynamic size. It can resize depending upon the values. And yes, we need to use for each loop whenever we want to retrieve the values from arrays or array list. So for each loop is compulsory for both, means for if you want to retrieve the values for from an array, either we can use for each loop or index method. But if you want to retrieve the values from an array list, we need to use only for each loop. So now this is the difference between the array list and array. So this was the same question was asked in October 2010 for 6 marks. So it is very important question. So this is all about the array list and array. So if you have any doubts or any queries, feel free to mail me on gurumatrix2004@gmail.com. So my friends, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.